It's always unwise to seek political advice from someone who gets paid $100 million a year to bounce a ball. Millions elected Trump to be their coach. So keep the political commentary to yourself, or as someone once said, shut up and dribble.
A few moments later.
Surely they can find a way to love the Trump dance.
Hi, welcome to Street Politics. My name is Reese Waters. Shout out to all of my new subscribers and members here on the channel. Now, as a lot of you guys know, I originally came from the world of comedy and in the world of sports, where I work for the worldwide leader, and I had a whole lot to say about one Colin Kaepernick. Siri, why is Colin Kaepernick still unsigned?
Racial insensitivity and general partisan close-mindedness.
So, of course, I would take a little bit of interest in the popularity of the Trump dance.
You're seeing a lot of athletes doing this. It's their version of Donald Trump doing his version of Conan O'Brien's string dance, despite looking like dads without much rhythm at a bar mitzvah.
You know, Laura Ingram's not going to like this.
You watch sports to relax. You don't want politics in sports. You want to keep score of the game, not politics. We have a separation of church and state. Let's have a separation of sports and politics.
They're football players and they're paid to do a job. They're not paid to take stands on social issues on the field.
Now it's even going to sports, where you are suffering now if you're not fully on board with this liberal-leaning ideology. It's ridiculous. It's sports.
Must they run their mouths like that? It's always unwise to seek political advice from someone who gets paid $100 million a year to bounce a ball. Millions elected Trump to be their coach. So keep the political commentary to yourself, or as someone once said, shut up and dribble.
But then again,
the unifier used to be sports until politics infiltrated it, and now perhaps the great unifier is in fact President-elect Trump and his policies.
And now everybody feels an infectious courage because there's no more stigma about being MAGA. The stigma has moved from MAGA to anti-MAGA.
Now, the cultural left applauded, remember, Colin Kaepernick taking a knee and lectured America on race. Surely they can find a way to love the Trump dance.
it's just the fact that they don't even try and hide it. They don't even try. This is, 2024 was the year all manner of masks came off.
All of these big deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them.
Yeah, it is. You look at all the times that any player was kneeling or anything, they all had this kind of conviction within themselves that this is what I believe, this is what I'm going to do. They articulated it very well to the media, starting with Colin Kaepernick. And you saw the video where a lot of the media, the conservative media and conservatives were really pushing against these NFL players to get them to stop talking about politics. But then, you fast forward to today and people are having a little fun with the Trump dance. Now, the Trump dance is, it's weird, it's new-ish, and it's ridiculous, so which also makes it trendy.
Right, yeah, it's like a TikTok dance.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Right. And so I don't think that's gonna be something that players are gonna be doing into next year. It's just kind of something new that players are doing, and they all, when you make a play, you celebrate, you wanna do something that's fun and trendy, and they're doing the Donald Trump dance because that's the fun and trendy thing right now.
I don't think it's right to equate this Trump dance, which I agree with you, it's kind of a fun, trendy thing that's going on, with the overt political statements that some players were attempting to make.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop us right there. I will first say that I'm not overly offended by the Trump dance in and of itself. It's the hypocrisy for me. It's the hypocrisy for me. So Scott Jennings, and you are no stranger to hypocrisy. You gonna sit here and tell me it's not an overt political statement? That you gonna tell me it's not an overt political statement? Okay. How about the red hats? How about the red hats that we saw? Was that an overt political statement? That work for you?
Overt political statements that some players were attempting to make, but then also these whole sort of cultural movements that were built around some of these players to try to force everyone else to participate in it.
Oh, yeah. Everybody remembers how the players were forced to kneel. Everybody remembers all of the pressure that came from society to force other players to protest, like Colin Kaepernick. You act like you talking about something that happened 100 years ago who nobody else really knows. That we remember. It wasn't that long ago. What are you talking about?
I see these things as totally different. I don't see these players necessarily participating in politics as much as they are just sort of participating in the current pop culture. I think they're two totally different things. And these players are not out there trying to browbeat their teammates into joining them if they don't want to.
Ooh, wow. Okay. See, I wasn't like overly offended by the Trump dance itself, but now you got me. Okay, so what you mean to tell me is that the man who was silently kneeling, who this all started when he was asked by a reporter why he was kneeling, the man who went and consulted the military to figure out the appropriate way to present his feelings to the world, that guy was browbeating his teammates now? Like, do you just get to just say stuff? Like, are we in that era? I guess we are. I suppose we are, because I just did the whole video about Newsmax and them actually trying to put together a seemingly legitimate response to Jasmine Crockett.
All right, there have been a lot of global calamities, okay? A lot of things have gone wrong in the world. The Holocaust, anybody? Exodus, in the Bible? She's a piece of work, but this does have a way of shutting people down. By the way, if I were right there, I'd be like, all right, name one slave who came from Africa and arrived in America, all right? Just give me one name.
We just get to just say stuff now. Like, that is the era we're in.
But there are players and there are sports representatives that are doing exactly that. Not browbeating people, but look at Logan Paul. Look at the MMA right now. There are people who are standing there wearing mega hats and they're making political statements around making sure you support Donald Trump. I'm just saying, let's get this even.
To Montel's point, you want to tell me that Colin Kaepernick was browbeating his teammates and that NFL players were pressured to participate in a protest, which eventually got Colin Kaepernick and to some degree Eric Reed blackballed from the NFL, right? Literally, the reason we can say that is because it only happened to one guy, right? But there was all this pressure for everybody else to participate. But Dana White appearing alongside Donald Trump at the RNC, at his speech on election night, presenting Donald Trump at the last, I don't know how many UFC pay-per-views, that's not pressuring people to participate or to feel a certain way. I mean, and this ain't even Newsmax, this CNN.
I agree with what Nate said. It was wrong for a black player to do what, people do in churches, people do when they ask a person to marry them, take a knee. It's called respect. People don't understand that, but when a black player did it, it was not respectful. Okay,
Which he learned from a Green Beret, by the way.
Yeah.
Green Beret suggested that he do that.
Let me just play. I mean, some people have short memories, but here's how Donald Trump responded to Colin Kaepernick taking a knee.
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a bitch off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired!
So to be clear, I mean, I really do think we have got to make a distinction. You cannot like what Colin Kaepernick did, but he wasn't saying, oh, go vote for Barack Obama. He was talking about a set of issues that are actually outside of politics.
We talk about keeping politics out of sports. You can debate whether or not Colin Kaepernick kneeling was overtly political. You cannot debate whether or not doing an homage to Donald Trump or wearing a red hat at the podium is overtly political. So in that way, I would actually agree with you, Scott Jennings. You can't really compare the two. You stumbled backwards into a point.
This was a push for advocacy and policy reforms. And as someone who lives in a black body and has seen, even in my own family, police brutality and what that looks like, I think that, seeing somebody take the level of stance that he did, having the name, the image, the brand that he did mattered. It mattered to the movement. This was not a collective, let's all cheer and celebrate moment. This was to elevate an issue that was happening throughout the community. And I think that for him, it was something that he took a stance on because with his name, with his brand, he knew that it could shape people's lives in the same way that we saw with Muhammad Ali, in the same way that we've seen it with a ton of black people during the civil rights movement, many of which who were also major athletes. He put his career on the line. He knew that he would be putting his career on the line, but to have a sitting president of the United States make the types of comments that Donald Trump did, to not only target Colin Kaepernick, but to also, it had its own reverberating effects on the community that was also doing that work and had been doing it long before Colin Kaepernick ever took a knee.
So now we're talking about not just taking a knee, but potentially, as Montel was saying, MAGA hats at the MMA games, maybe on football fields. That's okay?
There's already been one on a football field, and that player lost his opportunity, right? They kick him out of the league? They fired him?
Well, no, Nick Bosa, who's a big Trump guy, he's the one that
he
interrupted.
Ducked into that commercial? Yeah.
He interrupted the interview, a post-game interview, and stuck his hat out there days before the election. And he got fined like $12,000 for that.
Okay.
Americans love a comeback. So do sports players, so do the guys in the sports field. I mean.
Oh, America loves a comeback. Okay, so that means that y'all would cheer Colin Kaepernick's return then, right? That means that America loves a comeback. So the NFL team should just be stumbling over each other to sign Colin Kaepernick because of what a big cash cow he would be to Middle America because they love a comeback.
I'm with Scott. I'm not sure what we're talking about here. The guys are doing a dance. I think it shows the kinship that Donald Trump has with some of his folks out there. But I agree. I don't think this is going to be going on forever. And I'm not sure I see the comparison here of what we're talking about.
I also think there's something to be said for the marketplace here. I mean, who do you think's in an NFL stadium? Who do you think's at the MMA fight? Probably a lot of Trump. Probably a lot of.
Exactly. One's a lot more diverse than the other one, but they're different demographics.
Probably a lot of Trump people.
And for a long time, a lot of females went to that Kansas City game.
I guess what I'm saying is like.
Okay, so that's an interesting take. So should the audience determine whether or not something is okay or not? Huh? So if you happen to have an audience that is okay with something overtly offensive, then it's okay by virtue of the fact that it's predominantly people that were in support of it. Now, we probably aren't talking about anything racial specifically with regards to this, but if it was something sexist, okay, if there was something overtly sexist that happened on the field, or a t-shirt or a hat or something like that, and you know who's at the NFL game, hey, it's a bunch of guys, it's a bunch of bros. That means it's all good because it was a bunch of bros, right?
Some of the commentators that we played earlier basically were suggesting that they are so free now of retribution to come forward as a Trump. But to your point, these are conservative audiences. You're not getting a badge of courage for doing that in an MMA.
I do think Trump's winning unlocked. So I agreed with what Jesse Waters said in the clip. Actually, I do think it unlocked a certain number of people who probably previously felt like culturally they would not be looked upon well if they did express any kind of political preference for Trump. He goes out and wins, and now all of a sudden they do a 3-second dance.
Okay, so let me make sure I got you straight. So people didn't feel comfortable coming out in support of Trump prior to the election. Why? Why? Why didn't people feel comfortable supporting Trump prior to the election? Now, he's not here to answer the question. Maybe they felt that they would be considered racist. Maybe they would feel that they would be considered sexist. Maybe they felt that they would be associated with some of the things that Trump has said and done. But after the election, they feel a sense of comfort in coming out. does the election delete or diminish any of the things that were done that would have made you feel connected to it prior to the election? Does that change the facts of the matter? So now it's not so much that what happened changed. I just no longer care or feel like it matters that I'm going to be associated with that. That's what you're telling me. The other thing that needs to be brought up is our landscape has changed from Colin Kaepernick to now, and there's been a number of demonstrations that have happened on fields all across America since Colin Kaepernick. The doors have been open, and now our reactions to this are a lot less than what they were with Colin Kaepernick, which means that your freedom to Trump dance in the end zone can be traced directly to Colin Kaepernick. You can thank him.
What they might have felt was a certain level of social pressure from people around them, but not in that stadium, because those are also
media pressure, social pressure. I mean, look at the sports journalism industry. It is 100% gone completely off the left side of the ditch. I mean, what do you think would have happened to any of these players if they had done this during the election? I mean, it would have been an avalanche coming down on them. And the entire sports journalism field has gone so far to the left, it is no longer has any connection to its audience whatsoever.
You know what? That is actually a really good suggestion. Why don't we look at the sports journalism field and how far left they've gone?
The NFL says they have no issue with players doing the signature dance of President-elect Donald Trump during their on-field celebrations. Players like Nick Bosa from the Niners, Raiders tight end Brock Bowers, and Titans receiver Calvin Ridley are just a few of the players that have mocked the president-elect's signature moves. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in case you haven't seen Donald Trump's signature move, even though he's the one doing it right there, right now, at UFC 309 at Madison Square Garden this past weekend, one of, if not the greatest MMA fighter in history, John Bones Jones, did it after defeating Stipe Miocic in the third round there with Trump sitting ringside. You saw it right there.
Now, just once again, I would like to assert, because I happen to have been watching this, which was really against my basic core principles, given the way that Dana White has conducted his business. The dance itself is way down the list of things that bothered me here, and certainly well below the fact that Trump not only was present but has been paraded around at UFC events pretty much since the pandemic. So you had a guy that wasn't president, he was running for president, getting the de facto endorsement of a whole league leading up to and after an election. It does not get more political than that. There's politics in sports, and there's the UFC president parading Donald Trump around for an entire administration up to and after an actual election.
Here's why I'm pissed off that the NFL had to even issue a statement about it. Because celebrations usually don't warrant that. It doesn't require a response from the league. So why was it necessary this time? You know why? Because we got a bunch of people still living with their heads in the cloud, acting like they get to protest every little damn thing. This is America.
Who protested? Where's the protest? Huh? Where's the protest? People can vote with their time and with their money. Where's it? Were they marching? Huh? Where's the protest? So you just want to throw out people feel like they can protest, which is, by the way, very good red meat for Fox News, by the way. There's no protester they won't demonize. Very good red meat for your next appearance on Sean Hannity, that you just demonize protesters that don't exist.
He won. There's no debate. There's no controversy. There's no anything. He won convincingly.
Okay, first I would challenge you that there's no controversy. I would definitely challenge you there. I was a little curious as to why this belonged here. It kind of seems to me like you're making the point that because he won the election, that now retroactively legitimizes how we got here, which, by the way, is a point that you made before, where you said that because he won the election, there's nothing you can say about him now. So if I got this straight, by virtue of having won the election, that makes you unimpeachable and makes the people who support you unimpeachable? Is that what you're saying? Because you've had a lot to say about Biden and the slippage that you see with Biden, and you've had a whole lot to say about Democrats. But I'm wondering why the same they won, so there's nothing you can say about them. You can't criticize them. I'm wondering why that doesn't apply to the current president, but applies to the next president. And then exactly when does that wear off? Goes about 2 years? Maybe runs about 2 years. Like, when did you start coming at Biden? About 2 years? Year and a half? 2.5 years? Something like that? Okay, just let me know. Just let me know when the Mario star with winning the election from any controversy or criticism wears off. Just let me know.
So to me, that says that the American people have made their choice. I got news for you. Football players are usually American people. So are basketball players. So are UFC fighters. They got a right to support who the hell they want.
Well, that's not what we're talking about. Obviously, they have a right to support whoever they want. What we're talking about is demonstrations on the field. And so what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I try and always evaluate things if it would be okay the other way around. That's just called integrity. So are we as a country communicating, by virtue of how we're responding in this moment, that it is perfectly okay for you to specifically support individual candidates, political candidates, overtly political statements about political candidates moving forward? Is that what we're saying? Because that's going to be wild moving forward. I'm just telling you, that's going to be real wild. NFL jerseys going to start looking like yard signs.
They got a right to support who the hell they want without the league needing to send in a response. I didn't see a response from the UFC. You know why? Because Dana White wouldn't entertain it. Dana White would not entertain that because he don't play that nonsense.
Now, would Dana White have entertained a Kamala Harris support from a fighter? Like pre-election, would Dana? And matter of fact, not even pre-election, because we're always technically pre-election, right? Would Dana White entertain a fighter going in with Kamala Harris shorts? And while you think about that, what would a fighter have to weigh for him to make such a decision, knowing how Dana White would in fact react? I'm just making sure we're okay with all of this, right? Because you're talking about freedom, right? This is America, so you're talking about freedom. So naturally, a fighter showing his preference for whoever the candidate is in 28, assuming we have an election. So, I mean, a fighter showing his preference for whoever the candidate is in 2028 or for Kamala Harris shouldn't be subject to any sort of persecution and shouldn't have to deal with backlash from the UFC, wouldn't be booed mercilessly, all that kind of thing. Because Scott Jennings just had the nerve to tell me about all the pressure that people felt to not support Trump. You tell me about somebody getting in the UFC ring supporting anything blue right now and how that would go. Scott, I'll be waiting for that response.
They got a right to support who the hell they want without the league needing to send in a response. I didn't see a response from the UFC. You know why? Because Dana White wouldn't entertain it. Dana White would not entertain that because he don't play that nonsense. He's going to support who he's going to support. He's not going to apologize for it, as most American citizens should feel free to do.
Should. Yeah, should. Are they? Are they? I mean, you're right here. You are right where you need to be to disprove this point. But you're not going to do it, are you? You're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. You don't talk to me about freedom, and you talk to me about the fact that he won. Now you're talking about Dana White and how the players or the fighters are free to support what he supports. That's what they're free to do. And one of the things that is just really so apparent here is whether it's Laura Ingraham going from shut up and dribble to he's a human being, he has feelings too, all the way to Stephen A. You can support who you want to support. This is America. Oh, they won. They have a right to say what they want to say. Dana White wouldn't play that. It is all good. We are so supportive of you expressing what you want to express and saying what you want to say, as long as we agree with it. As long as we agree with it, that is the Elon Musk credo. That is Elon Musk, free speech warrior, as long as I agree with it. Now, here's the thing. I'm not completely blown by the Trump dance, personally. It's the hypocrisy for me. It's the hypocrisy for me. My last thing, if y'all were going to do a dance, why didn't y'all pick something where you needed some rhythm? Like, why did y'all just adopt a dance where a man is showing absolutely no obedience to the beat whatsoever? You know, it would have been nice. It would have been nice. You know, we all hate stereotypes. It would have been nice to break the stereotype. Now you got Calvin Ridley and John Jones out here debasing themselves by abandoning the beat. Disgusting. Thank you guys so much for watching the video and supporting the channel. Like a lot of you, I'm moving forward one day at a time. A little unsure of exactly what our world will look like. And as far as I'm concerned, that means the media landscape at large, but specifically here on YouTube. And one thing that I did want to do was try and ensure that I could connect with you guys regardless of our evolving world. And two ways of doing that. One is my mailing list. And I send out a newsletter every so often, and you can sign up for my newsletter and get added to the mailing list by sending me an email at reese@reesewaters.com, or you can just sign up at my website, reesewaters.com. The second way is memberships. We launched memberships and it's gone extremely well. I'm trying to drop more and more membership content every single week. And you can find the link for membership in the description to all of my videos, including this one. And that gives me the ability to put out content and connect with you guys completely independent of the algorithm and who's in charge and who's deciding what topic and issue to favor and what to suppress. And so that is something that I think will become significantly more impactful as we move forward into a second Trump presidency. So I got the newsletter and the mailing list. You can sign up on my website. And I also have membership. The link is in the description to this and every video. Again, thanks so much for being a part of this channel. We're gonna ride it till the wheels fall off.